Could you imagine me taking a construction meeting in this situation? I don't think it would go
I mean,
well.
I think you should.
I don't think that people would understand.
Maybe just give it a try,
Yeah,
Jesse.
just be like, this is the home office. What?
Yeah.
What are you, one of them gamers? No, man. I'm just on a dumb podcast. Do you want to listen?
Please listen.
Please listen.
Please
We
listen.
need followers.
Just a dumb podcast.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where we're going to have to force people to listen rather than ask people to listen.
It might work out better. You never know.
Yeah.
I just had an interesting thing happen. I went to get gas. And
Fuel.
This
Petrol.
was- okay,
Petrol.
sure.
Yeah.
I went to get fuel, gasoline, and I got forced into the attendant aisle. I didn't really think about it, and I don't think I've had anybody pump my gas for, I don't know, 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Man, gas station attendants still kind of suck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but man, these guys were not on the ball. I was like, oh no, oh well, I guess, I felt bad, which I don't know why they're employed, so maybe I shouldn't feel bad. Maybe I'm keeping their job alive by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But one guy started to pump the gas and walked away and started talking to somebody else, and then eventually it clicked off, and he kept talking to the other person, and he kept talking, and he kept talking, and he kept talking, and then finally some other dude shakes his head and comes running over and finishes up, and I'm just
So there's
sitting
one
there-
guy that
yeah.
was on it, and the other guy.
I'm just sitting there like, why does this exist again? I don't
Because
like this.
It creates jobs in a world where nobody wants to work.
Oh God.
Nobody wants to work anymore.
I have jumped out back before they changed the ruling in Oregon because I didn't want to wait. I got sick of waiting. And when I start my own gas and somebody gets all,
Snippy?
$15 an hour uppity with me about pumping my own gas, I was like, it's okay. I'm a certified petrol transfer technician. I know what I'm doing. And they kind of get taken a little off guard by that.
I bet. My kid driving his diesel wagon took advantage of the rural Oregon thing where anybody can pump their own diesel, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So he learned this working at a gas station, ironically enough, and or a fuel station, I should say.
Yeah.
And used it all the time. He would throw a fit if anybody tried to put fuel in his car. I was like, okay, sure, you do you.
Good for you, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know if no more diesel, so I don't think he pulls that card now, but I'm sure he's going to the self aisle every time.
Yeah. Now that he is a trained technician.
It is true. He's a trained fuel transfer technician. What'd you call it again?
Yeah.
Petrol transfer technician.
Petrol.
Certified.
PTT.
Certified. Yeah.
CPTT.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
The plaques on the wall.
Plaques on the wall. It's right behind me.
Just make myself a little card. Bring it around
Ooh,
with me.
there you go. Yeah. Laminate it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your permit?
Got it right here, pal.
Got it right here, sir.
Right next to my aerial work platform permit or license.
Ooh, that's a fancy one.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
you start with the less fancy ones, and then you start pulling out more
The
and
real
more.
ones?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got my aerial work platform, my forklift, petrol transfer, lead remediation. I have that one too.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Boy,
And my OSHA
this
30.
is hot.
And I'm
Yeah.
working on OSHA 60.
He's a real.
All the way to 60? Is there another level? Can you get to 90?
Actually,
Or is it a 120?
240?
No.
360.
The next one that I am working
1080.
on is I have to be an RMI,
Which is?
designated RMI, responsible individual.
No, that's
In-
wrong.
No.
You said MI.
Oh, yeah, RMI, responsible management individual or something. You have to have it for your
Oh.
Oregon CCB.
I see.
And whomever, you have to have one person who is the owner that has it.
Mm.
So,
And that's
if-
supposed to be you?
God forbid my older brother passes away, somebody has to be the RMI
responsible.
for us. The
Certified responsible person.
Yeah, the person.
Are you sure you're the man for that job, or?
No, God no. You imagine me running a business? It's going to be great. It's just going to be a party.
Yeah.
I mean, can't be any worse than some of the places I've seen get ran.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of mismanagement, and I think your flavor of mismanagement would be much better than theirs. So.
Well, at least I care for the employees and I care for the, well-being and health of the company. It's just a little more on the fun side.
Yeah, I think that's good.
As it should be.
Yeah, it's nice to have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with all that being said, we can welcome everybody to the Campfire Passport podcast.
Wow, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Look at
Nice
you.
job.
I know. I've been working on it. I've been thinking about it that whole time.
I thought you were going to do it like
Right away.
right off the bat, like because you said something about on the podcast, like you said the word, and so I just assumed that you were gonna. That's where it was going, and then it didn't. So
I was listening to an episode today, and I realized that I got to it pretty quickly on that one, and I kind of like a little more lead up. I think we need to go a little further
right.
in.
Sometimes it's funny when it's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
And then like we've had that one that was like 18 minutes in before we got to.
That's my favorite kind, I think. So the journey today, we're going to have a few things that we're going to talk about. We don't have really an agenda, which is kind of nice. We're going to have a few things to talk about. But the first thing I want to get to is that Jesse says he has a conspiracy theory. So I'm super interested in unraveling this.
What was that guy's name again?
Oh, Alex. Well, I said his name is Alex James, who is a friend of mine that lives in Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
Who I tagged in that reel. Alex Jones.
There you go. Okay.
Is the right one.
So yeah, this is Jesse's Alex Jones conspiracy. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So we're going to move back to the Hilux conversation.
Oh, great.
You mean the Toyota pickup?
So I have a conspiracy theory on why they didn't call it the Hilux in America, even though it's the exact same vehicle. Because what do you know a Hilux for? Revolution.
Being the Toyota pickup that's not sold here?
No, being the Toyota pickup that has a giant cannon in the back of it starting revolutions.
Yeah, but
so they didn't want that in the United States.
When did that start, though? When did the
Hilux
become
they weren't
synonymous
using
with...
that right away. We're talking...
This goes way back into, when Israel was trying to gain their independence and become become an actual state. So this dates back into the 70s and 80s.
I don't think that.
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
Okay.
Anyway,
let me get on with my...
sorry. That's not the conspiracy theory?
I'm glad we're shooting it down already. That's good.
Okay.
No,
let's hear the rest.
The conspiracy theory is that when they wanted to bring the Hilux to the United States in the 70s, late 70s, the U.S. government's like, oh, you can't call it a Hilux here because, those are known for having big guns on the back. You got to call it a pickup. So there it is. That's my conspiracy theory. Is the United States government didn't want the Hilux here because they didn't want it to be a vehicle that is
a revolution promotion item.
Exactly. So there's my conspiracy theory.
I
call
going
it
to Google this.
Crackpot conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's crackpot for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what they're
for like 2 minutes. Okay,
carry you.
I mean, what are conspiracy
that's strong,
theories?
Sean.
Conspiracy theories are based on nothing. So, except
most
for
of them, yeah.
Well,
hearsay and conjecture.
Theory.
So
There's
there
the word
go.
theory in it, I guess, but
Yeah, well, that's a loose term when it's put with conspiracy before it.
Yeah. My here's where I would shoot it down is where my thought process is that the trucks would be too new for randoms to get a hold of and then turn them into revolutionary vehicles. They were able to get a hold of them at mass when they were cheap and older and used.
True. But I mean, maybe
like they're not going to the lot and buying them off the lot and then putting their 50 cals in the back and starting the revolution. They don't have the money for that. I don't know if you knew this, but most of the time, revolution starts pretty poor.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're buying them from, auction lots that somebody bought Matt's A1 Plumbing and left his logo on the side of it with his phone number, and then it gets caught on a video with the Taliban shooting it at somebody. that poor guy. Oh, that poor guy. That's a real story. I'm sure you guys know that, right?
No.
That's a real reference. So a photo of a Toyota pickup, because, I mean, here in the United States, we call them pickups.
Correct.
But it's a Hilux. It went from being a pickup to a Hilux with some sort of firearm in the back of it, and got caught in a picture of it shooting in some sort of battle. And it says Matt's A1 Plumbing on the side of it with his phone number. And it blew him up. Like, people were calling him pissed off. And so I guess he went after the auction company that he sold it to. And
any publicity is good publicity, though. So, maybe maybe his business really skyrocketed after that. Word of mouth.
True.
I'd love to do a deeper dive on this. I'm sorry to interrupt and change the subject back to the old one, but it looks like the Toyota pickup was actually known as a Hilux for a very brief amount of time in the U.S., in the middle somewhere, in the second generation, it looks like, because the first ones, the Stout, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Stout was called the Stout instead of a Hilux in the U.S. because they wanted to get around the chicken tax, which is like the 25% vehicle import fee.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't. They were shipped to the U.S. as a chassis cab into California, and then they put a bed on it and made a truck, and they named it something different so that they could get away from this import tariff, right?
Okay.
And then for like a few years, it looks like, they did call it the Hilux, and then they switched it back. The theory, like later on, seems to be that the chicken tax thing is the right designation when it comes into like Tacoma, because they're completely different trucks, and Tacomas were built in the U.S., so it was fine. That's why they do that. But the other ones, I don't really understand why, and I don't want to spend 10 minutes of my time here doing that. So
I'll research it, and I'll figure it out later on actually why they changed the name. And I'll bring that to the next podcast or the next one I'm on. How's that sound?
Sounds great to me.
Okay.
Cool.
Hopefully you're right. Because I'm going to fact check you.
Or Luke will.
Or Luke definitely
as we
will.
found out.
Yeah. But
actually,
need to have him just like record things on his own at home and send me the audio file, and so then I can just interject it right in the middle of the podcast.
I think
and then bring it back out.
I think that'd be a great new segment.
Yeah,
Luke says.
Man. The problem is then I have to get him the podcast ahead of time to do that, and then get it back.
We could just find like 5 subjects and then just easily throw them in.
And just like pick some random ones out the air.
I don't even know if they have to match.
Put it in when I want to put it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's super easy. Okay, so your crazy conspiracy theory was just about the Hilux not being called a Hilux because they didn't want to associate it with guns and war, right?
Yeah, that's just a crackpot theory.
Your crackpot theory. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to parlay into your conversation about the 100 series because you had some sort of thing. I was trying to make a joke and it was not well received in our little group thread. So.
Oh, I thought it was funny.
Oh. Okay, good. It was well received.
Yeah. I'm not going to get upset about that.
I knew you weren't upset. I just didn't think it landed. I was like, I guess I didn't think that was funny. Whoops.
Oh, no. That was just some guy was sitting, doing some sort of podcast. I didn't pay attention because he was just, a word I'm not going to say on here. He was an idiot.
Oh.
I think he's an idiot. But he's theorizing that the 100 series is going to be the next, like, big collector's Land Cruiser, and that it's the best Land Cruiser. I
saw that.
And when he said it's going to be $100,000 to $150,000 in the future, I was like, dude, get out of here.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
it was somebody that is. It was like a interview for like some sort of car auction site, like Cars and Bids or something like that. And and the guy was.
Oh, was it Doug DeMuro?
I don't know. I reposted that video clip
that.
Actually, Jesse, like weeks ago. But yeah, that I shook my head at that as well because that's.
Here's the thing.
I think that's fairly ridiculous.
I don't think that it is like. I mean, I don't even think 80 series are necessarily like a collector's item. I think they can be, just like some things, right? And I think that in 5-10 years or whatever, assuming economy and car market is strong, $100,000 100 series that's got like 2,000 miles or whatever does not phase me. Like, of course that's going to happen. There are $140,000 80 series. I don't know without listening if they were implying that all of them were going to be worth that much money. That's stupid. But if they were saying, hey, when you find that super rare, sub 10,000 mile one that's perfect, is it going to go for that much money? Maybe. Some idiot's probably going to buy it. I mean, there's an ass for every seat, and it's already happened with 80s. It happened with 60s. Like, yeah, it's just going to happen.
I could see at a small level, yes, some like because everyone will find and make their own collector car out of something that there's super low mile Yugos out there that somebody probably spent
exactly
tens of thousands of dollars more than they should have on it because it's a fucking Yugo. Who cares?
Yeah,
this guy does.
I mean, like Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids probably to an extent exist because of that market, right? Like those auction sites brought out all the weird like Taurus SHOs and like whatever 20-mile G-body Monte Carlos and weird stuff like that was probably never going to sell because there's no market for it because nobody's looking for it.
Yeah.
When it pops up on an auction site and it's $4,000, all of a sudden people go, whoa, that might be interesting because in 20 years or whatever, like there's already not very many of those cars because they were such throwaways. Now all of a sudden it's like the rarest one there. Is there value to it? Maybe on a grand scale, it's not worth that to me again. But like if I stumbled across any of those cars I just listed at the Peterson Auto Museum or something, and it was in factory like showroom condition, even if I don't care about those cars, I would stop and go, whoa, this is a brand new 84 whatever. Like,
yeah, but you're not spending much time beyond that.
No, I'd probably look it over for a minute. But
most of the time, yeah, for things like that, you kind of look at it and are like, cool. I mean, that's crazy that it is, that nice, but I mean, it's generic traffic. Yeah. Like, it's not that important.
It's impressive that it's still around in that condition.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
It's not the
but
vehicle
outside
itself.
Of that, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and that's, Toyota doesn't need any help, taxing their vehicles any higher. So I don't know, like that dude saying that, your 100 series is a collector item now is, I mean,
let me give you an argument.
It was a little bit bloated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. I can see the 100 series being a very valuable car in the future, not $100,000, but they're comfortable. They're very nice Land Cruisers. That moving to the IFS really made them ride comfy, but it's not that impressive of a vehicle.
Yeah, but
I love mine.
Impressive. So, like the thing that makes you think it's impressive, or me, is not what drives its value, right? Like nobody's gonna care that the, Wrangler, well, maybe somebody will care that the Wrangler Rubicon in 20 years is so much better than the old. I don't know. I was going to make an argument there, and I realized it just fell apart in my head. You might be right, because something that makes it special, like a GMC Cyclone or something, like that is special for the reasons that we like it, but so it kind of ruins the point, right? Like it is because it's faster
unique.
and it's unique and all those things. And the 100 series is generally not that unique, although it's not the most expensive vehicle. I mean, not the most not expensive, but there aren't a ton of them. There's a lot, but there's not like, it's not like a Sequoia where it's, really boring.
Yeah,
really boring.
Yeah. Sorry, Tyson.
Well, I mean, but there's a reason why Tyson was able to get a Sequoia for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So the Sequoias are the most affordable off-road Toyota. First gen Sequoia is, and maybe even the second gens now too, because they're so ugly. Like that has to be the most affordable Toyota 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That there is. I mean, yes, there are expensive ones out there.
Sure.
But they're the easiest to get cheap.
Yeah. You know what's funny? The 100 series is kind of a value usually too, because most of them you can find one that trades for under 10,000 or whatever pretty easy still. It's going to have a lot more miles, but I mean, the Sequoia that he's got has got high miles on it too. So I think they're still... Well,
that's
kind of a
that's
value,
another Toyota thing.
Enough.
What find a Toyota that doesn't have high miles.
Yeah, well,
that's the other.
They all run, so there is that.
They all run.
I mean, mine's got 217,000 miles on it with a brand new timing belt, and I got it for 9.5.
Yeah, that's pretty average. I mean, and that's good. I think.
Yeah,
I think it's a good vehicle for that money. So
for that motor,
I think the vehicle's great.
Yeah. I love that car. It's super comfy. It's really nice to drive. Mm-hmm. It rolls well. It's quiet, but it's not going to be something that I want to go out and build into some sort of fancy off-road vehicle. Sorry, Aaron.
I've seen some good ones, but people do a lot of good stuff.
Good ones.
Yeah,
there is one. I don't know if Tyson, if Colin, this is what you're looking up, but there one just went on Bring a Trailer, an 02 100 series, for 67,000. I say just a few months ago, 5 months ago. It's got 57,000 miles, so it's not even like really, really low mileage. It's very low. Like that's what Aaron's had when he got it.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely not 67 grand. So, so it's in it. It has a lot of bids. It looks like it's very nice. So there's some value there. It's not $100,000+ vehicle, but I again will say I think if one rolls across one of these sites with less than 5,000 miles, that prophecy will be true. It will sell for over 100, no doubt about it.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that it would happen. I'm disagreeing with it being like
the premise.
This is like the collector car of an era. Like, that isn't.
Stupid. I mean, let's think about then what is a modern collector's car in the off-road market that is like in our interest pool from like, let's say, the 90s forward. What do you think, Jesse, would be something that is going to be a collector's item that's coming from off-road? Or trucks, I should say.
God, the first one. The only thing I think of is like a Defender, but that's just because they're
like
already
a new Defender.
No, because you're talking about like 90s. So I guess no.
Yeah, so a 90s Defender, especially like a US one, is already a modern classic. So that's a good example.
Yeah.
And I said Cyclone or Typhoon; those two are already kind of modern classics. Mm-hmm. Again, special and small. I was kind of trying to think of like more new, like around the years of the 100.
So like 2000 plus. Because the 100 started in 98?
Yeah, 98. So you've got... So like I think about things like supercharged Frontiers, and I just don't think they have like a drive for... They're not special right now. People don't really care that much about them.
No.
New Defender there's a lot of them, so I don't think it's going to have the same impact as the older ones. I'm sure it'll be a beloved vehicle for a long time, but like if you think about LR3s and LR4s, like they're throwaways. So it's not going to be that, but it's going to be less. Even supercharged Range Rovers they're just the best Range Rover. Like they don't really get a lot of anything because of that. Some of the special like Raptor stuff maybe that's coming out now, like Raptor Rs and Raptor 37s, maybe.
I mean,
a little more unique.
Yeah, a little more unique, and if they don't like make
more,
a bunch of them.
TRX, obviously.
Yeah.
First gen Raptor, like first gen Raptors will probably be worth money. I bet like that's going to be a collector's item because they like that first run only had like the 5.4 and I think they were only extra cabs. Like there's some weird stuff about the first run of them, and that'll probably be a pretty value driven vehicle. Maybe like H3 Alpha. That could be another weird one. You never see those.
Yeah, it's not often you see those. So maybe. I mean, they're just a weird looking first gen Colorado with cool stuff with like extra bits, you know?
They've grown on me a little bit. I saw one on the internet not long ago and I was like, okay, well, I kind of get it. Squint a little bit. It's pretty cool.
A little iffy, but maybe.
I think the driving force for the 100 series, maybe that it is so valuable is because, or I mean, you could say this about any kind of collector vehicle, is that when you buy it, especially if it's something from like 2000 and on, I mean, that's 24 years old, you know that vehicle's been tested, it's tried, it's true. I know that motor and that trans and the drivetrain is going to go 300,000 miles easy because other people have been doing it for 24 years.
Sure.
So if you buy a 5,000 mile or 56,000 mile 100 series, you know for a fact not know for a fact, but you know in much more certainty than buying a new vehicle that it will go that far.
Yeah, but I mean, the 56,000 mile one maybe, but a 5,000 mile one, I don't think anybody that's buying one of those and spending the money that they're going to end up spending on it is buying it to drive it.
Oh, no.
They're buying it to say I have it or to look at it and let other people look at it.
Take it to Pebble Beach.
Yeah. That's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever thought about. Just concours.
Yep, concours 100 series just coming through.
I mean, maybe one day. I don't know.
That'll happen before it becomes a collector's item. Right there.
That is a hell freezes over moment.
Yeah.
I had to look at H3s just out of curiosity. There's one 09 H3T Alpha that is sold for like $45,000 twice on Bring a Trailer. It's got, I don't know, like 50,000 miles on it or something. It's very nice, but the interiors are bad. I forgot how bad they are. They're bad like the Colorado because it's the same.
Because it's Colorado.
Okay. Speaking of cars that have looks, good or bad,
that
depending.
have looks.
Yeah,
interesting.
Nissan just updated the Armada, and since this is the mid-size truck podcast, I thought it'd be fun to talk about a full-size SUV for once.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, it's a big vehicle.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys looked it up, but it is supposed to be finally sharing chassis with the Patrol. It's supposed to be the same. So whereas before they said it kind of was, but it wasn't. Yeah. And then the Infinity kind of was, but it wasn't.
They kind of, it's kind of all the same, but not,
They're saying that this is supposed to share all the things. And they're putting a Pro 4X model together, which is cool, the rear locker, and the goofiest seats. Like the seats have like, I think they're trying to do like diamond stitching kind of stuff, and it looks like one of these blankets kind of.
Ooh,
it's not good.
Packing blanket, I like it.
Yeah, packing
it looks like
seats.
a bad seat cover
it looks
from
like
Amazon.
I saw a comment on the drive that said something like, I can't believe they put AutoZone seat covers on that. It was pretty good. The other exciting thing is it's got a VR35 in it. So it is the same architecture, twin turbo V6 as GTR. So kind of cool. And it's got big power.
Yeah, it does have big power. Kind of sad to hear the V8 leave because those V8s did sound pretty awesome.
I saw
it's V8 sounds.
Yeah, V8 sounds are great. Everybody loves a good V8
V8 noises.
one of the articles I was looking at showed that the power difference was just insane. And not only that, for whatever, I don't know how they've done this, but apparently it's tuned to make whatever its standard power level is on regular fuel, which is wild. I mean, you put 87 octane in and get 500 pounds of torque.
From what I'm seeing here, it says that the V6 makes 425 horse and 516 feet-pounds, which is only 25 horsepower more than the V8 did.
How much more torque?
103.
Just saying.
Important
so
thing to mention.
lots more torque.
Lots of torque.
But it technically is only 25 more horsepowers, which at full throttle, that's the horsepowers.
That's the horsepowers. Good to know. I don't know about you, but every time I've driven an Armada, it's foot to the floor every time, right? It's all.
I've never driven an Armada.
You've never driven like an older one?
I was really, so before the Range Rover, I was pretty heavy on looking into, let's see, it would have been let me look at the generations again, but not the Y62, the one before that.
Okay.
Because it was V8, 400 horsepower, and they were getting close to the right price range, but you could get so much more Range Rover for the cost of
said no one ever for the cost of a Nissan.
Thinking of Range Rover, did you guys see this side profile of it in the red? It kind of looks like a Range Rover with a flat tail.
I think it looks like oddly Land Cruiser and Yukon had a baby. It kind of smashes together, and that's what I see.
The back is a little new Land Cruiser-y.
Yeah.
And then the front is kind
just
of
bad.
The front's not great. Yeah, it's like
I don't like it.
And I don't know if the Titan. Do they even make the Titan still? They got it, right?
Yeah.
Is the Titan the front end the same as that, or is this like a weird?
I think that's what
its
you're
own
looking
thing?
at, because that's what I kind of saw too. And I think the Rover vibes that I'm getting are right there at the back end of the front quarter panel. It has the vent, but then also on that rear window, it has that angle up, and that really feels very Rover to me.
I think that's where I'm getting my GX and Land Cruiser.
That looks like that's the Land Cruiser thing, because Range Rovers are like A-frames from the side. Like the back slants towards the front and the front slants toward the back.
Very flat belt line usually.
Yeah.
There's not much. I mean, I guess
like the front end of an L322 made it with a Land Cruiser, then made it with an old Armada, and then made it with another Range Rover. It's just some sort of goop thrown in, and here's the baby.
I gotta say, taking a trip down memory lane on the first generation Armada, which I think is probably what you were talking about, because the one previous to this one is the one that is kind of cool. But the first gen, man, that's an ugly vehicle. And it's funny.
It's horrible.
When Titans came out and these, I thought they were really cool, and I just don't think it's aged that well right now. Maybe a little more time is what it needs. I don't know. But they did have a V8.
No, it's not the first gen.
Okay, then
it's the Y62.
So, yeah. So I remember you talking about this because the oldest Y62s were starting to get to a more reasonable range. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
The first gen.
No. Yeah, that the first gen doesn't do anything for me, but it was the other part about them was that there were companies, granted they were overseas, so it would make the whole thing even more difficult to do, but there are companies that make portals for the Y62s. So it's like you could go portals and stock suspension and just upgrade a couple of things on the the shocks or whatever. And I've seen them on RTI ramps doing crazy amounts of flex for a fully IRS vehicle. It's pretty impressive.
Nice. They're cool. The Y62 is cool.
The Y62 is cool.
It's grown on me.
Yeah.
So I think the new one is, I think it's kind of cool. I'm not going to buy one, obviously. I don't really.
to me, it looks like it's getting a little further away from the like having potential for off-road stuff.
Yeah.
It's a luxury SUV.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but
I think I might like it more than a Sequoia. Just a little bit.
Depends on which one. I kind of like the new ones.
New to new.
I kind of like the new ones.
New Sequoias? I do too. Mm-hmm. But I like the Pro 4X in this green color is pretty sweet looking. I don't know.
Maybe I think it's just the color.
I think I probably like the Toyota a little bit better because it's got the like multi-link rear with a solid axle and that kind of stuff.
The solid axle stuff
I like.
And that the front end still is bugging me on the Armada. There's something about it. I mean, maybe it'll grow on me, but at the moment it doesn't.
It's almost like a Lincoln
it for me.
It does have a little. There's like something about it that's just like a little too luxurious for some reason. I don't know.
It's like this. So I know you guys. It's gonna be hard to stat. There's that photo of it.
Look at you now.
I know. I'm being an old guy.
Oh my god, I can't see that. Hold on. I just maximized it to see if I can see it. That's a picture that I was looking at, I think.
Yeah, so that's the photo that like kind of gives me the Rover vibes.
You know what I want you to do? Before you start your research for your Hilux essay, can you give me an example of a Rover that looks like that from the side?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that...
I was going to talk about, if you were talking about trips down memory lane with Armadas, I've driven an Armada one time, and
is it a Y62?
Well, it's the first gen. It's
not a Y62.
No. So it's that ugly first gen. It was silver. It was owned by my neighbor, who I will not name, who is a drug dealer, who has actually like shot people. Hence why I don't want to, which I don't want to say his name in case for some reason, somehow he hears this. I don't want him to shoot me. I'm dead serious. This guy's pointed a gun at me with the full intent of shooting me. And that was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. But anyway, so that guy coaxed me into going to do a drug deal with him. He's like, "Oh man, can you drive me to the store really quick? I'll give you $25 and a case of beer." And I was like
a deal.
I was like, "All right, I'm 18, whatever. I don't care. What's your reasoning?" Man, I didn't think about that. And yeah, it was to take him to go do some shady drug deal out in DR Dub back in.
Don't give a date.
No.
Surprised you're giving locations.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, no, it was just
you're really narrowing it down.
Early 2000s, because I'm trying to give a range of what Deschutes DR Dub was.
For our out of state listeners that don't know what DRW even stands for.
Whatever. All right, shady.
Paint a picture, Jesse.
Shady mobile home park in the middle of the night, half lit, coaxed into going and doing a drug deal. And I drove.
Okay.
So I was, getaway driver. I have no idea what happened. He hopped in the truck real quick and said, "It's time to leave." And I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
God.
So that's the one time I got to drive an Armada.
Okay.
Statute of limitations on that. I don't know.
I don't know. I was an accessory. Maybe not.
It's an accessory.
So you brought to the conversation a big SUV. I am going to bring some small SUV news that I saw.
Ooh.
So they are apparently going to be bringing a Sasquatch edition to the Bronco Sport.
It's kind of cool.
So
cute.
I'm not a Bronco Sport person, but it doesn't on the outset doesn't really look all that much different. But I was reading about it. One of their funny things in this article that it said that Bronco Sport customers love the outdoors and go off-roading 3.5 times as often as the owners of competitive vehicles, and camping twice as often. So I don't know who they're surveying to find this out.
I was going to say, where are they pulling their stats from?
People that actually take surveys, which is scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like there's a few little additives, like they put like new Bilsteins for the rear shocks that are apparently position sensitive dampening. So like that's upgraded. It's got 29s on it now, big old tires, and then it's offering a whole 8.3 inches of front travel and 8.7 inches of rear travel. So
evenly matched.
Get that thing on the RTI ramp. It's gonna, but. So the usual Sasquatch stuff, skid plates, a little bit better bumper. Apparently it's got this little thing in the front that you can bolt your bar or lights to and things like that. The funny thing that I found was this next picture here. It's got a built-in tie-down in the fender. So for your roof rack,
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got something hanging off the, like your canoe or whatever hanging off the front,
that's the
tie
only
it
thing
down.
I could think of.
Wow.
To that. So, but outside of that, it doesn't look like it does a whole lot more. They don't know price, but it won't be available till the first quarter of 2025.
Got it. Yep.
So
I may be ridiculed for saying this, but I like the Bronco Sport. I don't want one, but I like it.
It just doesn't do anything for me.
It's but it's like a fine little SUV. It's way better than an Escape, even though it is an Escape. But it's great. I think it's cool. I saw one picture in it must have been like Ford's Instagram or something, where they had it in like this little trench, and it was like 3-wheeling, but the back wheel was probably, I don't know, a foot or two off the ground. It looked pretty dramatic, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I guess.
Yeah, that's what a fully independent vehicle does.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty typical. Pretty typical.
Wow. Bronco Sport doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's an appliance.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it does it for me as an appliance. It's cooler than maybe cooler than a RAV4, and I like RAV4s. Like, I don't know. Cooler than a CRV, I think.
Better than a Subaru. Like, I'd rather see one of those
or an
out
Ascent.
on the forest roads, bombing around, going to the fishing spots or whatever. I'd rather see that than a friggin' Subaru. So there is that.
If I was going to pick an appliance, I'd pick a CRV or a RAV4 over the Bronco. But that's just also my preference.
If we're going real true appliance, it really just kind of grinds my gears that you can't get a Bronco Sport in a hybrid. I just feel like a plug-in hybrid Bronco Sport becomes a pretty interesting kind of thing because of the mileage.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
I'm assuming that I agree with Mike on this. One of the things we agree on is this.
He doesn't want a plug-in hybrid, though. He wants the...
Yeah, he does.
That's exactly what he wants.
He wants a plug-in hybrid because he wants to be able to get like 40 miles of range from his solar.
That's right.
Yes.
That's his big vendetta on this.
Mm-hmm.
I had it backwards. He
with.
doesn't want the standard hybrid. He wants the plug-in hybrid.
No. Yeah. And I agree, especially for his... I mean, he probably drives, 60 to 80 miles a day. So he's going to use gas eventually, but it's nice that he would be able to maybe subsidize that cost a little bit with some of his own energy. But anyways, they're fine. That does remind me of the other thing that I had on my list, though.
Okay.
Jesse, you had nothing more to say about the glorious Sasquatch package.
No,
Bronco Sport, right?
I was going to say the only person with a Bronco Sport that does anything for me is Tate being an absolute idiot with his. And it's just entertaining to watch him troll the internet with the Bronco Sport.
I can't believe anybody could watch his account at this point and not think that he's being serious.
100% serious. Yeah.
And think that he's being serious. Blows my mind.
I'm not sure how that happens either.
The internet is a wide place. I guess that's why.
Yeah, that's fair.
Ford did a really cool thing, though. I think also this week, they announced that for the Bronco Raptor and the Ranger Raptor, they're offering a factory ECU tune. And I don't have it up in front of me, but it was 40 horsepower or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Factory warranty intact. Not available in California. Surprise. But you can just go for whatever.
Suck it, Californians.
Whatever the cost is, get this thing flashed, and boom, you got...
Just move to Bend, and then you can do
it. Up the boost.
because that's what you're all doing anyway.
Yep, exactly.
Welcome to Bend, California.
I thought it was cool that they that somebody is like pushing for a factory
pushing
boost.
something.
It's kind of neat. I don't know what it costs or anything, but I could check, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I guess the advantage to that also becomes if you're buying it new, you could just wrap it into the purchase price because whatever it costs is only going to equate to 30 cents a month on your payment.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing is not only that, it's from Ford. So like if you have that brand new vehicle, you just spent all your money on this awesome thing. And it blows up next week, you go, sorry.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the tune. Yeah. Or even if it was, that's on you guys.
Yep. Ranger Raptor gets 50 horsepower, 106 pound-feet of torque. And the Bronco Raptor gets 37 horsepower, 96 pound-feet of torque. It's $825, which is not cheap, but it's not out of line.
Yeah.
I think like most of the
fair.
AWE and all those GIAC, all those companies, I think that's kind of the
that
weight.
Seems about right.
So,
it's cool. That's honestly not too bad. I mean, if you think about it from a dealer, because if we equate it back to like when I was looking at tuning my 3rd gen Tacoma, it's like the OV tune from somebody to do it for you was like $275, or you could buy the program for $500 and do it yourself.
Mm.
So, but that voids factory warranties and down the line. And also, it didn't get you 160 torque.
Yeah, it's not getting that kind
naturally
of gain.
aspirated engine. You're getting all 10 pound-feet of torque, maybe.
Yeah, it might be able to utilize the other mods that you've done to their full potential.
Yeah,
at that point.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty cool.
It's a great marketing gimmick. That's actually worth. I don't know, Phil. 800. What you said, $875.
I mean,
yeah, $825.
Less gimmicky than shock seats.
If I had a Ranger Raptor and $800 burning a hole in my pocket, I would definitely get that 50 horsepower.
I mean, if you're buying, like I said, if you're buying it, what's the
tack it on?
What is that? What is that $800? That's nothing.
It's also an intelligent way for them to kind of bypass having to have a tune that's ubiquitous across the United States. They can say, okay, well, here's the one that we sell off the lot. If you live in these states, your emissions rules allow us to do this to your vehicle. We'll do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty smart.
I think so. I like it. Yeah. Did you guys see the most recent outrageous thing to come across the internet going through the Rubicon?
You mean the Porsche Cayenne?
The Cayenne spelled wrong?
God, I cannot believe that it's lasted on the internet for this long. I mean,
you didn't look at that guy and say, no wonder he spelled it wrong.
I told you this. I watched the video. He seemed fine. It wasn't like, I mean, no offense to the guy with the Ranger, because like I think that guy's trying, but like I watched that video and I couldn't. The Cayenne video, I was like, oh, okay, I mean, it's fine. Just got like a normal thing going on. There was another one with them. Anyways, he dressed up like it was a costume, not just a guy that like looked like a douchebag.
Yeah,
he looked like a douchebag in a costume.
He kind of had those vibes. I'll be honest. I said I wasn't going to watch it after I watched 10 seconds of it.
Did you?
When I saw what he was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, oh, it's not that bad. So I did get around to watching it. And so my predictions before watching it
you were right.
Were correct.
Except for the
broke
CB.
A tie rod.
No CB.
There were some weird clicking noises that they both were making, though. And I don't know if that's the locker and that's just the noises it makes when it's trying to engage or something. But they both were making some odd clicking noises when they were put into tough spots.
Yeah.
So I was a little curious of that. Looked like he screwed up a skid plate a couple of times. And then I also noticed, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but there was a shot of him at like right after Arnold's Rock, where he comes off a little ledge and his little tube bumper hits a rock and it just bent it all the way in underneath the plastic. I was like, huh, didn't think to put any support out on that side of the bumper, huh?
I will say, man, it made it out much, much, much more intact than that Ranger did.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Not that there's any contest
I mean,
here, but
it
I was
also
surprised. Much
had
better
a lot
driver,
more
I think.
done to better driver and spotting.
Spotting, yeah.
Even though that, there's a lesson to the Ranger guy that thinks that you shouldn't have spotters.
Yeah.
But it also was on 35s.
Yep.
Not that it had much travel because of the 35s.
Yep.
And it's fairly low. So I think that it very much it was exactly how I figured if I had taken the L322 through like I had wanted to. Like that was exactly what I figured it would be like.
Yep.
Slightly too low, so it's gonna fucking get high centered on almost everything.
Yep.
And it's just heavy, a lot of wheel lifts, and it's like as long as you're comfortable enough driving it and you know that that's what it's going to do, because that's what fully independent suspension rigs do. That's what only, independent front suspension cars do, but it's even more exaggerated with fully independent. But like, as long as you know that it's gonna do that and you're comfortable enough
you're ready
dealing with it, like it does stuff, like it'll do things.
Yeah.
Like I don't see, like I said, I think it would be, the Range Rover would be exactly the same. It'd probably break or bend some tie rods because they're kind of puny.
Yeah.
And other than that, it'd just be a little low considering the way that trail is.
I, like partway through the video, I was like, this is what it would have been like if Colin brought his Range Rover. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, totally would have been.
They also updated the name of that video, by the way, before we get to
Oh, did
Jesse.
you fix his spelling?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Good job, guy.
Good for him.
Luke.
Well, I guarantee you that the bumper on the 322 wouldn't have bent.
That's
like
right.
That.
Yeah, we built a better bumper, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Looks like it beat the hell out of the skid plates.
That were aluminum, it looked like.
Yeah, Eurowise does aluminum skids for that. I don't know why that is a thing.
Well, I mean, it's a thing because it's better protection than the factory skids, but it's not exactly rock crawler protection.
No, they're going to stick. Aluminum sticks.
Stick and bend.
Yeah.
So,
Bad news.
It's not, they're better than nothing, but they're not what you would want necessarily for using it in that fashion.
Yeah.
Which, again, my Range Rover had skid plates that I built that were like real skid plates.
That's good.
Probably would have handled that a little bit better.
That's good.
So, but yeah, it kind of did give me a little bit of that. It would have been nice to try to take the Range Rover through. I think it would have been a lot more of a harrowing drive than the Colorado was.
Makes sense, yeah.
Like there would have been a lot of positions that I would have been in, like lifting wheels, where I would have needed someone there telling me like, we're good. Because, when it starts lifting wheels and you're doing an obstacle that you've never in your life done before.
Yeah.
It sows some uncertainty in, with your confidence levels as far as like how far can you push it. So
yeah,
I don't know. The guy still seems kind of.
I just thought he was generically fine for YouTube. I did see the same thing you saw. Like I saw the like pose in front of the sign and I went, ooh, I'm out. And then I went, no, let me watch this because I like this rig. I think it's cool and I want to see it because I've got this weird, desire for one of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I did immediately go on Facebook Marketplace and look for one.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a great one that I'm not gonna.
Great one, he says.
I don't want at all. I don't need it. There's no part of me that needs another vehicle. So, anyways, I just put that away. But
better off in an L322, or even I'll one up that. Even though I loved the L322, and I think I like them better than the Range Rover Sports of that era, but the Range Rover Sport of that era is still better than the L322 also.
Yeah.
Because
maybe it is, but I still think I'd rather
front lockers are available for
that's
those.
cool.
The L322 they are not.
It becomes never mind. I don't want to have this conversation.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't need to. Don't need to do that.
Okay.
What do you think, Jesse?
Speaking of skids, if anybody wants a HDPE skid, I've gotten my hands on a handful of sheets. So I got to start making a couple skids for Raw Dog and the Toyota, not the 100 series, but the Wheeler.
Okay.
So yeah, I got like
I'm a
8
maybe.
or 9 sheets.
How thick? Like half inch?
It's 3/4.
3/4. Wow. Okay.
3/4,
so I guess that
but
actually would work.
It's white outside with a black core. So it kind of looked cool once you actually scrape it up.
So reverse Oreo?
Reverse
It's
Oreo.
a reverse Oreo.
Cream on the outside.
Cream on the outside, please.
Clean on the inside.
It's a Rio.
Maybe I shouldn't have said what I just said. That could be reused in many ways.
No, there's a song. Who's the song? It's a Paul Wall song.
That's like
right?
pulling out.
Oh yeah, that too.
Cream on the outside. Pull out. Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Do we end there, or do I say the next thing I was going to say?
Keep going.
Say the next thing.
Okay.
Keep going, Sean.
Move on.
I also watched the teaser video of Hot VWs taking a Myers-Manx and a couple other, maybe 2 Myers-Manx and a couple weird Volkswagen buggy things that I cannot identify through the Rubicon, which we also saw.
So was it those? It was the ones that we saw on the internet.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They did some cool stuff, and it's like a 3-minute teaser on the Hot VW's channel, which is a magazine. If no one knows that, I'm sure nobody listening to this knows that Hot VW's is a magazine that's been around forever.
Real big Volkswagen guy.
Anywho, their YouTube channel, which I did not assume they even had, but they do.
That is a bit of an upset. I will say
it's surprising. A lot of things uploaded from their Facebook, I would assume. I don't know.
Right.
Anyways, they run these buggies through. One of the guys has this like really short thing. I don't even know what it is.
They were all in that Cayenne video.
Yep. So that's how I was like, oh, that was a reminder. I should check that out. That thing at Arnold's Rock, I think. Arnold's or Arnold Rock? I forget.
I think it's Arnold's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that spot, it went up an obstacle and got like, it turned, like a turning brake kind of situation happened where it like turned in a wheelie and it came down. And then he just decided he would drive like parallel to the obstacle and then take it in like a switchback scenario. It was hilarious. And it made it up. And it's so small that like only a vehicle like that could have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no chance I could have even turned around in any of those spots. And this dude is using it like there's extra trail to be had. It's pretty impressive.
So he did more than the 12 miles.
It's like when you go for a walk with your dog and it's weaving back and forth the whole time. And you're like, man, that dog's doing a lot more mileage than I am.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So, but impressive stuff. I really do want to see the full video because it's obviously a completely different strategy than how anybody else would run it. You know, like even the guy in the Cayenne, like he's trying to go slow over things that he's not, you know, he's hitting the right rocks and he's doing all the things that you're supposed to do. And these guys are just like, well, this is the right line. I'm going to go. Yeah. And they just momentum.
2-wheel drive, it's like throttle is kind of your only option. Yeah. And you just have to hope and pray shit doesn't break. And I did see a lot of stuff of
there were some breakages.
There was some engines sitting on the slabs while they were working on it. So.
Yeah, they had like somebody's Instagram I saw, it must have been the Harry Wagner guy. He had like they did the clutch swap in like 40 minutes or something. I was I think we might have talked about that on the podcast. I was so burned because I'm doing mine again in my bug, and I'm like, man, I can't do that in 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's because you got all the shrouding on.
Got
still.
Everything there. Like I just want to be able to yank it off and put it on the ground. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, it is impressive that they did that, and I'm excited to watch that. I didn't know they were making a full video of it.
Yeah, and let me put the precursor on it, like that. It's impressive that they did that, but we can only say that because they're people that are highly experienced and knew what they were doing, taking those vehicles out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
With that purpose.
Yeah,
they're not some
jackwagon,
jackwagon, no nothing.
Yeah.
That showed up with a vehicle that should not be on the Rubicon with no experience.
Ranger.
And try and do it by themselves.
Yeah. Well,
Like that, this is an organized, orchestrated thing of guys with experience, a group.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, even the Cayenne, like they had a pretty good looking 4Runner with them.
yeah,
and
and
like
then
a JL.
and a Jeep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And so like that's, yeah, you know, it'd be so cool if you did
when you're
it by
going to do
yourself,
something
but, like,
stupid, be smart about it.
Yeah. Bring a friend to watch you do your stupid thing, just
Yeah.
in case.
Exactly. Well, if you don't have anything else, Sean,
I don't.
I do have something else.
What is it?
Ooh.
I've got a twist on would you pay money for this?
Is that really the...
Was that the twist?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the sounders might be the twist, sure, but because
Okay.
I probably hit the wrong button. I don't know. Who
I
knows?
thought it
Who
was
cares?
I thought it was an applause.
I don't
last
think
time.
I've used the same button once. Like, I don't think I've ever used
That's
the
good.
same one a second time. So
That's good.
So yeah, so we're just gonna go into here now. So I'm gonna share the screen for you. So here's the twist. I've got 2 vehicles here.
Okay. Which would you pay money for?
You can only
Oh, great.
pay money for one of them. Okay.
What if somebody doesn't want to pay money for either of them?
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying that you can only, if there is one, you have to pick one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So first off, 91 Defender 110.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm sharing it.
I can see it.
It's so little.
Well, make the screen bigger. SoCal, so it's in SoCal, 62,000.
Oh, man.
Okay, so and it's a bit of a it's pretty nice. I'm gonna scroll down here so you can see it here. It is, so it's got a pretty nice. Well, if it loads, there we go. So it's got a pretty fancy topper conversion on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a diesel.
Okay.
It's pretty damn clean,
Mhm.
honestly, as we're looking at it here.
Mhm.
It's only the 200 TDI, so it's not the best, but it's a decent one. And interior is kind of, it's clean inside, but it's like a very basic,
Oh, yeah.
simple
Sparse.
homebrew DIY, setup inside with all of his power and a fridge, and it's a 3-seater rather than a 2 or a 4. So when you got them kids, got a kid or something, all the pictures didn't load.
I did just notice the thing that said very motivated seller.
Very motivated seller. See,
I thought that was interesting.
That comes into this whole situation here. That's why I picked this one. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So here's some better pictures of the back. So
Okay.
it's you're pretty much, just your normal looking back end. It's got some gold windows,
Just your normal
looking back end. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, it's
not too big.
it's-
It's not too small.
yeah, exactly. It's just a decent looking Defender. Okay.
Okay.
And like I said, 62.
Okay.
Very motivated seller.
That could mean 55. That could mean 50. It could
Mhm.
mean $40,000.
So
I'm excited that you brought this up, bringing us back to our, classic, what's going to be a classic conversation, because that was a 96.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
The next one.
your next option, and I think I know which way you both are going to swing on this, honestly, but we're gonna see what happens here. Okay, here we go.
80 series with the
80
camper
series
conversion.
with a camper conversion. Now, is this the camper conversion you think it was?
It is, because I just have recently looked at this.
Oh, you looked at this.
Yeah.
You pre-looked at this.
Yeah.
It's a Ute.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I've been checking this one out for a hot minute because it's very interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just a top conversion. It is the back half after the rear doors is cut off.
Yep.
And it's got, an RV.
It's an RV.
It's got a little
Clark.
it's got a little pop top conversion in it.
Mhm.
And this also pretty I don't think it's looks as clean as the Land Rover does, but it does have an LS.
Sure does. Yeah.
So there, which my favorite part is in his description, it says that it has a GM engine conversion. Doesn't say that it's an LS. It just says GM engine conversion.
The nerdy part of him is right, because it's not an LS engine.
GM, like what GM engine? It doesn't even say which one. It just says, and it's got looks like a redone interior, which isn't, not too
also
bad.
Also a 3-seat, well, 3.5, kind of like mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so it is a pass-through, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got like the same concept, kind of a basic rear build out. It's just standard plywood stuff. He's got a full-size spare hanging down underneath there. And the funny part was then down at the end, he's got a little kicker here where he's going to drop the price to $54 and include a fully built factory locked full floater to replace the current axle that's in it.
Because it's non-locked. I did notice that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this at $54 with him sweetening the deal, or the 110 with a motivated seller.
Yeah, so you figure 55 to 60.
Yeah,
probably, right?
Like they're probably in about
price.
the same range.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend that kind of money, that's, that much difference is not going to be leaning you one way or the other necessarily.
They're very close. Yeah.
So, which one would you pay money for this?
So, I want to say the Land Rover. I really do, because I really like the Land Rover, and in a vacuum, it's great. Like, that is something I would have any day of the week. I love a pop top without adding like bulk. I think that's really cool. Even still, I don't want to be the guy that talks about his own vehicle more, right? But like, I love the capability of mine.
That's what Land Cruiser people do,
exactly. Jesse's got the shirt to prove it. I love the capability of it in every step of the way that I've had it, and the almost stock one too. Like, I just really like the way that it handles like small washboard roads and relatively hardcore stuff, and all of the places in between that it's been. I really like it. I don't love that 80 series has like a wider, thing going on.
But and probably longer too.
It's a little longer.
It's got more rear overhang.
It's got a really big cut though.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time staring at this thing, because I was like,
really studying.
Yeah. Anyways, I still think I would take it, because I think it's probably more capable, and I think it's got more room. I think that's the other thing, right?
Yeah,
I
would say it does
it,
have
and
more
I looked at it and I thought about it, and I was like, man, I think it's got more room. It's not my ideal. I think I'd almost rather mix the two, right? And have the regular pop top on a standard bodied 80 and like lose that interior space for the capability
See,
change.
I think I'd go the other way.
You would have the bigger box on the Defender?
I would just have the Defender with the top on it, but take the LS and put it in the Defender.
That's a good move too. It's a really good rig. Both of them really are. But I think that it's weird. The Land Cruiser being cheaper even makes me more like, well, it's got the LS in it, and but even if they were the same price, I think I'd still go Land Cruiser, just because I know what it is, and I would be intrigued to try to travel around in that for a few weeks. I think it'd be sweet. The other one would be really cool just to do our normal camping and what I already do with a rig. So
yeah. Jesse?
I am extremely torn. My bias wants to say the Land Cruiser, also just because I love an 80 series, but I don't really like the way that they did the Ute conversion. Like, it just doesn't look right. The proportions don't feel right. The extended rear end just kind of looks funny to me. I like retaining the actual authentic look of it. So, and also, I've always wanted a Defender, so I would probably go Defender in this instance, and you've made this extremely hard. But I am going to go against my bias, and I'm going to go with the Defender, also because I love that it's absolutely stock. Like, it's such a bare bones basic vehicle, except for the pop top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got stock wheels on it. It doesn't look like it's been monkeyed with, molested, whereas that 80 series, it's been kind of taken apart.
It's been cut up.
I mean, it's been
off.
cut. Yeah,
it's been cut. It has
they
LS.
cut the roof off the
that's
Defender.
Yeah,
so.
that's a lot less cutting than the freaking Land Cruiser was cut up, though.
The Land Cruiser's been cut on the back end. It has an LS swap. I don't know who this guy is.
Wait, hold on. That 200 TD did not come in that Defender, probably, right? That's a swap.
No,
it's
those had 200.
Okay,
yeah.
Never mind.
So
moving on.
And also, I'm a sucker for a right-hand drive too. Like,
man. That's actually a big for me.
That's a no sell for you.
It's an awful thing to have because passing is awful. Like, you're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. But I mean, it kind of helps it, drive like not an asshole a little bit. But
trust me, it's not going to be a rig that you're going to be able to do a whole lot of passing with anyway. So,
but
it's probably fine.
I'm going to go with Defender.
I want to just ask a question, just out of curiosity. I appreciate it because I on the Defender, because I was not 50-50, but I was 55-45 for sure.
Okay.
Look at this one, Jesse, and tell me, what do you think of those proportions? Because part of my curiosity on the like the box thing on the back, I'm not calling it a Ute conversion because it's not a pickup. The one that Colin brought, the 4-door with the little short back on it, is awkward looking, even though I think it's cool. This is a, cut the rear out of it completely.
Yeah, so it's a single cab.
Single cab, yeah, with a bigger living quarters. Do you think that looks better proportionally, Jesse?
Than the 80?
Yeah, I mean, that is an 80, so it's the same idea, but without the back
more
doors.
living space, yeah.
No, that does not look better proportionally than the one we just saw. As far as the 80 series, because that is just way too off the backside. That looks like one of those Jeep Wranglers.
Does have a lot of rear overhang.
That they put those like the campers in the back.
The thing we just saw.
Yeah, they're so. It's like, whoa, what did you just do?
Yeah. The other difference there is that the 4-door one, it has like the classic overhang over the front of the cab, where the bed is.
Yep.
Where that one is like the unit is the unit.
Yeah.
So that makes a difference in the kind of space you have as well inside too. So
for sure. But I was just curious. I was thinking about the proportions. There was I forget where the people are from, but there was an 80 series with like a, I don't know what you want to call these things, like a sleeping quarter conversion, a 2-door, based one, just like the one we just saw that was local.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a Ute with a big butt.
Yeah, but it's not a Ute because it doesn't have a bed. I mean, it has a bed, but not a pickup bed.
A sleeping bed.
Yeah, sleeping bed. Anyways, semantics. In person, I was surprised at how small it looked and like kind of really neatly, like this tiny little Class C RV. I don't know. I was just looking at that one. It's not quite the same thing, but I was curious what another opinion was on it. So.
Well, I also would do the Land Rover because, I'm a Land Rover guy.
Yeah.
but also I think the Land Rover is a better package. So,
sure.
Well, yeah. So with that, we would pay money for that.